You think she's going to sleep with you because you're nice. You believe she'll let you in physically, emotionally, just because you treated her well, paid for dinner, made her laugh. But what if I told you she's not sleeping with you because of any of that? She's sleeping with the man who makes her feel something raw, something primal, something alive. And the truth is, she doesn't even fully understand it herself. She says she wants a gentleman, but her body responds to presence, power, polarity. She wants to feel safe, but not bored. She wants to be chosen, but only by the man she feels she doesn't fully have. Not yet, not easily, not on command. That man isn't chasing her. He isn't pleasing her. He's pulling her into his world, and she's willingly losing herself in it. So no, this video is not about manipulating her. It's not about pickup lines or fake confidence. This is about the version of you that makes a woman feel like she can be completely undone and still safe. The version of you that turns her on without touching her. The version of you that she wants to FIKO, not next week, not when the time feels right, but today. Because when a woman feels emotionally seen, spiritually disarmed, and energetically drawn in, her body follows. And most men never learn how to create that feeling. They're either too nice or too aggressive. But you're about to learn how to walk that sacred line. Let's go deeper. You don't need to say a word for her to feel your presence. A woman doesn't just respond to what you say. She responds to the way you are. That's the part most men don't understand. They think attraction starts with words, charm, strategy. But no, it starts the moment she feels your energy. And if your energy is restless, desperate, looking for something from her, she may smile politely, she may even engage, but she's already decided you're not the one. You see, before she even gives herself the permission to feel attraction toward you, her body is already scanning yours. Her nervous system is asking, am I safe here? Or am I being pulled into someone else's chaos? Rooted energy isn't something you fake. It's something you cultivate. It's in the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you look at her, not with hunger, but with calm certainty. She wants to feel like you are rooted so she can let go. But most men are not rooted. They're in performance mode. They're adjusting, reacting, waiting for a sign, a smile, a signal. They're too busy checking to see if she likes them to notice. She's already clocked that they're ungrounded. And that's the turn off, not who you are, but that you're not there with her. You're scattered. You're anxious. You're hoping for approval. And nothing makes a woman close off faster than sensing that she has to lead the moment emotionally. But when you're present, when you're still, when you speak less and listen more, not to analyze but to understand, that's when she starts feeling pulled in. She leans forward without realizing it. Her voice softens. Her guard drops. Why? Because you're not demanding anything from her. You're not rushing her energy. You're holding space. And in a world where she's constantly protecting herself, constantly being chased, judged, or pressured, the man who makes her feel emotionally safe becomes unforgettable. So if you want her to desire you, even on the first day, it doesn't start with seduction. It starts with stability. Not in your job, your car, your bank account, but in your spirit. The calmer your energy, the more her body wants to rest in it. And if she can rest in you emotionally, her body will follow. Every time. She doesn't want to be controlled. She wants to be moved. There's a difference, and most men miss it. Control is tight, rigid, predictable. Movement is fluid, unexpected, alive. A woman doesn't crave perfection. She craves contrast. She wants to feel your depth, your edges, your softness, and your fire. If every interaction with you feels like it's been rehearsed, calculated, or performed, she disconnects emotionally. Even if she laughs, even if she plays along, deep down, she's not feeling you. You see, emotional contrast is what creates emotional chemistry. You're not just a steady beat. You're the rise and fall of tension. The calm before the storm, the silence that follows a truth that lands deep. That's what stirs her. When you can be playful but suddenly drop into something real, when you can go from teasing her to truly seeing her, that unpredictability wakes something in her. Not fear, not confusion, but aliveness. She doesn't know what's coming next with you, and that makes her feel. That makes her want. But here's the thing, most men are afraid to go there. They're afraid to break the moment with depth. They're scared to say something vulnerable, something human, something raw. They'd rather keep it safe and flirty, stay in the shallow waters where nothing gets exposed. And that's exactly why she doesn't feel a real connection. Because connection lives in risk, in truth. In emotional exposure, if she feels like you're always trying to say the right thing, she won't trust it. But if she feels like you're saying what's true for you, even if it's messy, Even if it's bold, she leans in. Because now you're real, she wants to feel the man behind the mask, the man who can shift tones, who can move her from laughter to stillness in a heartbeat. And when you show her that emotional agility, not chaos, not mood swings, but range, that's when her body starts to respond. Because you're not just predictable, you're present. And presence is what makes her body relax into trust. So if you want her to feel something for you, don't just try to be impressive. Be expressive. Let her feel your rhythm. Let her feel your truth. And when you stop trying to control the vibe and start actually living it, she'll feel it deep in her bones. And she won't want it to stop. You've been told to go after what you want, to chase her, to prove you're serious, to be consistent. And yes, effort matters, intention matters. But chasing is different. Chasing is rooted in fear. Fear that if you don't keep pushing, she'll forget about you. That if you're not always available, always initiating, always pursuing, you'll lose her. But let me tell you what a woman really feels when you chase her. She feels that you don't trust your own value. And when a man doesn't trust his value, she can't trust it either. A woman desires a man who moves with self-respect, who knows that his time, his energy, his presence are not something to be thrown at anyone who gives him a smile. When you stop chasing, you give her the gift of mystery, of space, of choice. She starts to ask herself questions like, what's he doing today? Is he thinking of me? Why hasn't he texted yet? And that space, that mental curiosity, is the birthplace of attraction. But when you flood her with texts, compliments, invitations, when you're always the one reaching out, always the one giving more, always the one proving, she never has the chance to wonder. Never has the room to feel desire. Because you've already handed yourself over, she doesn't have to earn your presence. She doesn't have to lean in. And without that, she feels nothing but pressure. Even if you're kind, even if you're charming, even if your intentions are pure, let her lean in. Let her show interest. Let her make an effort. Because the moment she starts investing is the moment her attraction grows. And if she doesn't, if she pulls away, ignores your energy, never reaches out, then she's not your woman. Period. Because the right woman will feel your grounded presence and meet you there. She'll respond to your stillness with her softness. She'll choose you, not because you chased, but because you stood still in your truth. So stop running, sit in your value, let her come closer. Because the man who doesn't chase isn't cold, he's confident. He's the invitation, not the request. And that kind of man, that's the man she'll crave, the one she'll want, the one she'll give herself to willingly, fully. Now, she wants to be desired. Don't get it twisted. She wants to feel chosen, wanted, craved. But not by every man. Not in a way that feels cheap, predictable, or pressured. She wants to feel your desire, not the kind that hides behind compliments or sexual jokes, but the kind that's clean, grounded, honest. Because there's something incredibly rare about a man who can say, I want you, and mean it without needing her to say it back. A man who isn't afraid of his own hunger, but isn't controlled by it either. Most men have been taught to suppress their desire. Be nice. Be patient. Don't scare her off. And over time, you start to filter yourself. You flirt, but you don't lead. You touch her, but it's hesitant. You want her, but you wait for her to make every move, give every signal, carry the weight of connection. And in doing that, you make her feel like you're unsure. And nothing kills desire faster than a man who seems unsure of what he wants. But when you look her in the eyes and speak with clarity, not arrogance, but truth, something shifts. Tell her she's beautiful. Not like every guy who says it just to get her number, but in a way that lets her feel you mean it. Let your words come from your core. Let your desire move through your body, your voice, your gaze, not with force, not with expectation, but with presence. And that energy, that masculine ownership of your own desire. It stirs her, not because you touched her, because she felt you, because you saw her and weren't afraid to say, I want you. She's not used to that. She's used to men who either smother her with lust or hide behind politeness. But when you show up as a man who owns his desire without apology, without pressure, she feels free. Free to meet you in that space. Free to want you too. So stop flirting like it's a game. Stop complimenting like it's a strategy. And start speaking from the place inside you that knows what it wants and doesn't fear it. Because when your desire is clean, honest, and grounded, she feels it deep, safe, and sexy. And that's when she says yes, not just with words, but with her whole body. A woman cannot surrender to a man who hasn't stepped into his masculine energy. That's not just about muscles or how deep your voice sounds. It's about emotional leadership. It's about holding space without being shaken. It's about knowing where you're going and inviting her into that direction. Not dragging her, not pushing her, but leading in a way that makes her feel like she can finally exhale. Because for the feminine to open, she needs to trust. And trust doesn't come from charm, it comes from structure, from consistency, from presence. When you show up grounded in who you are, when you move with quiet confidence, when you're not trying to prove anything, she feels it. She may not even understand why she feels her guard dropping around you, why her voice softens, why her body leans in. But it's because you've become the masculine anchor she's been searching for, whether she admits it or not. And I know what some men say, but I don't want to lead all the time. Why can't she just be independent? Listen to me. She can be independent. She probably is. But inside every woman is a desire to relax, to not have to carry everything all the time. But she'll only let go when she feels your energy can hold her. That's the polarity. That's the dance. You hold steady, she opens. You provide structure, she flows. You move with purpose, she moves with you. Masculinity is not control. It's not domination. It's not bossing her around. It's the invitation for her to be soft, wild, free, and still safe. And when a woman feels safe emotionally, she becomes expansive sexually. Because she doesn't have to guard herself. She doesn't have to question your motives. She feels that you're not just physically present. You're spiritually available. So ask yourself this: are you the kind of man who leads with stillness, or are you chasing chaos? Are you offering emotional stability or demanding emotional validation? Because she can tell, her body can tell. And when you walk in your masculine with direction, purpose, and calm strength, her body responds. Her walls fall. And the part of her that was craving to be met finally is. That's when the surrender happens. Not because you forced it, but because your masculinity made it feel safe to. She's been told she's sexy. She's been desired. She's been touched, chased, even begged for. But very few men have actually seen her. And when I say seen, I don't mean looking at her curves or noticing her outfit or complimenting her body. I mean seeing the human in her. Seeing past the surface, past the performance, past the smile she gives to keep things easy. Most men don't look into a woman, they look at her. And that's why she never truly opens. When you make a woman feel seen, it disarms her. Not because you're doing it to seduce her, but because it's so rare, so unexpected, so intimate that her whole body responds. She's used to being wanted for how she looks. She's used to being flirted with, teased, fantasized about. But when you look her in the eyes and just listen, really listen, not to respond, not to fix, but to feel her words, that's when she starts to melt. Not just emotionally, but physically too. Ask her something real and then stay with her. Don't rush. Don't turn it into a joke. Don't escape into trying to impress. Just stay present, curious, honest. When she tells you something vulnerable, don't jump to reassure her. Let the moment breathe. Let her feel that you're not running from her truth, that you're strong enough to hold what she's sharing. And when you hold that space with stillness, she begins to trust. And when trust enters the room, desire follows close behind. Because when a woman feels seen, she starts to feel safe. And when she feels safe, she can finally put down the layers. She doesn't have to perform. She doesn't have to be perfect. And in that nakedness, not just physical, but emotional, that's where true intimacy begins. That's where her body says yes before her mind even catches up. So if you want to unlock her, don't just admire her. Understand her. Speak less. Observe more. Feel her energy, not just her appearance. Because the man who sees her, who really sees her, is the man she will give herself to. Fully, freely. Because with him, she doesn't have to be anything else but herself. And that, my dear, is where true seduction lives. You've been chasing her body, but now, maybe for the first time, you understand what actually opens it. It's not the game. It's not the money. It's not the flex or the finesse. It's your presence. It's your stillness. It's the feeling that when she's with you, she can breathe, that she doesn't have to guard herself, that she's not being watched like a prize, but felt like a person. You want to know the real reason she sleeps with that other guy on the first day? Because he didn't need her. He saw her. He didn't perform. He listened. He didn't chase. He stood still. And that energy, that's the kind that pulls her in without saying a word. So I'm not asking you to play a role. I'm asking you to remember who you are. The version of you that isn't desperate to be chosen. Because you already are a man of value. The version of you that makes her feel so safe in your energy, her body can't help but soften into it. And if something inside you shifted during this video, if your heart is beating a little heavier right now, if you know deep down that it's time to stop performing and start embodying, then don't scroll past this moment. Drop a comment below. What hit you the hardest? Like this video if it woke something up inside you. Share it with a brother who's lost himself chasing the wrong things. And subscribe, because this channel isn't about tricks or tactics. It's about truth. It's about transformation. It's about becoming the man that doesn't beg for her body because he already holds her trust. You are not here to be tolerated. You are here to be felt. So step into your power and let her come home to it. This is Jessica Opare, and I'll see you in the next one. There are things that a woman will never forget. Not your money, not your abs, not even your performance. It's the way you made her feel. And for most men, that's where it all goes wrong, because you're doing the most physically, but leaving her starving emotionally. You're pounding, but not connecting. You're naked, but emotionally absent. And she feels it. She goes silent, starts pulling away. You can't explain it. But she feels alone, even while your body is right next to hers. Let me be real with you. There's a reason women cry after sex with certain men, and it's not just lust. It's because those men awaken something deeper inside her, something most of you are too distracted or too numb to access. You want to be unforgettable in the bedroom. Stop thinking with your ego and start speaking to her nervous system, to her soul. Because the truth is, men who know how to touch a woman's heart, not just her body, are the ones she dreams of for years. If you've ever been ghosted, if she ever suddenly lost feelings, if you're tired of being almost good enough, then this video is the most honest conversation you'll ever hear. Let's talk about what really makes a man memorable in the bedroom and why some of you are sleeping with women, but they're still emotionally untouched. Presence is the greatest aphrodisiac. And I don't just mean being physically there, I mean being emotionally present, fully tuned in, fully with her. Because here's what a lot of men don't understand. Women don't just want your body, they want your attention, your energy, your focus. When she's with you, especially in the bedroom, she's not just asking, do you desire me? She's asking, do you see me? And most of the time, the answer is no. You're too caught up in your head, too focused on performance, on whether you're doing it right, on how long you can last. And in the process, you disappear. You leave her there, physically with you, but emotionally abandoned. She can feel when your touch is hollow, when your mind is somewhere else, when you're chasing validation instead of connection. And no matter how good you think you are, if you're not present, she won't feel safe. She won't feel held. She won't open. See, a woman's body responds to presence the way flowers respond to sunlight. She opens when she feels your energy anchored. She blooms when your touch isn't rushed, when your breath matches hers, when your eyes say, I'm here with you. I'm not trying to escape. I'm not performing. I'm connecting. That's the kind of man she remembers. The one who slowed down. The one who didn't need to prove anything. The one who was just there. You don't need perfect technique. You don't need to be loud. You don't need a playbook. What you need is the courage to be still, to stay in the moment, to let her body guide you instead of trying to lead everything. And that takes emotional maturity. It takes self-control. It takes a level of presence that most men never develop because they're too scared to sit in that kind of intimacy. But when you do, when you stop rushing, when you breathe with her, when you're attuned to every little sound, every subtle reaction, every heartbeat, that's when she feels something she's never felt before, safe surrender. And that's what every woman secretly wants. Not just a man who can touch her body, but a man who's so present she forgets the world exists outside that room. That's the man she craves. That's the man she'll never forget. She feels your silence more than your words. And that's the part most men never understand. You're so focused on saying the right thing, impressing her with your lines, your voice, your so-called game, that you miss the one thing that actually speaks the loudest, your energy when you say nothing at all. Your silence is not just empty space, it's a message. And depending on how you carry it, that message can either build trust or quietly destroy it. There's a silence that feels safe. The kind where she can exhale into your chest and know she doesn't need to explain herself. That kind of silence is healing. It's intimate. It's rare. But there's also the kind of silence that feels like distance, like rejection, like being emotionally abandoned while your body is still there. And that's the silence most women get from men in the bedroom. You think it doesn't matter. You think, I already said I like her, or she should know how I feel. But women don't listen to your declarations as much as they tune into your presence. And when you go quiet after she shares something vulnerable, when you don't check in after, when you leave her emotionally hanging, that silence turns into doubt, into shame, into confusion. It's the kind of silence that makes her question if she's lovable or if she's just being used. Because silence to a woman is never just absence. It's data. It's a signal. It's the space where her mind starts to fill in the blanks. And trust me, when you don't give her reassurance, she will write her own painful story in that silence. And once that happens, you've lost her. The most emotionally powerful men are not the loudest. They're not the smoothest. They're the ones who are emotionally responsive. The ones who say, "I heard you." The ones who can sit in the quiet and still be present. The ones who know that a touch on the back, a squeeze of the hand, a soft breath can say more than 1,000 words ever could. So stop thinking silence is neutral. It's not. It's either the safest place she's ever felt or the loneliest. And you decide which one it becomes with your attention, your empathy, your presence, even when you're saying nothing at all. Masculinity is not performance, it's permission. And I need you to really let that sink in, because a lot of men have confused manhood with domination, with bravado, with the loudest voice in the room or the hardest grip in the bedroom. But true masculinity doesn't need to be proven. It doesn't need to flex. It holds space. It invites safety. It gives a woman the permission to be fully, emotionally, vulnerably. You think being a man means taking control. And yes, leadership is beautiful when it's rooted in love. But when your control is coming from ego, when it's about proving something or avoiding your own emotional discomfort, what you end up doing is creating tension, not safety. And women can feel that. They might not always have the words for it, but their bodies know the difference between a man who leads with strength and one who hides behind it. Let me tell you something a lot of women are too afraid to say out loud. We want strong men, but not the kind of strong that silences us, not the kind that dominates without listening. We want the kind of strength that makes us feel like we can break down in your arms and not be judged, that we can cry and you won't flinch, that we can be soft because your masculinity gives us permission to be. Do you understand how rare that is for a woman? Most of us have had to toughen up just to survive, to protect ourselves. But when a man shows up with emotional steadiness, when he doesn't get threatened by our tears, our chaos, our rawness, that's when we can finally let go. That's when intimacy becomes more than just physical. It becomes spiritual. So the next time you're in the bedroom, stop asking yourself, am I doing enough? And start asking, am I creating space for her to be all of herself here? That's real masculinity. The kind that doesn't need to perform because it's already grounded, already solid, already whole. When you carry that kind of energy, a woman doesn't just give you her body, she gives you her soul. And that, my dear, is a level of trust most men will never reach because they're too busy performing to ever become a safe place. Be the exception. Be the man who gives her permission to be. Eye contact is more powerful than thrusting. And I don't care how good you think you are in bed. If you can't hold her gaze, you're missing the most intimate part of the experience. Because eye contact isn't just about looking. It's about seeing and being seen. And that terrifies most men. You want to know why? Because when you look a woman in the eyes during intimacy, you're exposing something. It's not just her that's vulnerable. It's you. And a lot of men aren't ready for that. So they look at her body, they close their eyes, they get lost in the rhythm, but they avoid her soul. Because her eyes are where truth lives. Her eyes will show you how deeply she's letting you in or how much she's holding back. And your eyes, they reveal if you're really there for her or just there for the release. A woman knows the difference. When a man locks eyes with her, not in a creepy, forceful way, but in a gentle, present, connected way, her body responds, her heart softens, her trust deepens. Because now she doesn't feel like a performance. She doesn't feel like a body. She feels like a woman being truly seen. And that's the part she craves. That's the part she rarely gets. You want to be unforgettable in the bedroom. Don't just learn how to touch her, learn how to see her. When she's vulnerable, hold her gaze. When she's opening up, look at her like she's sacred, not in a possessive way, not in a lust-filled fantasy, but in a way that says, I'm here. I see you. I honor you. That kind of eye contact, it does something to a woman's nervous system. It calms the parts of her that have always had to be on guard. It tells her she's safe, desired, chosen. So many men are chasing harder, faster, deeper. But none of that matters if she feels unseen. You can be technically perfect and still emotionally forgettable. Or you can hold her gaze with intention, with softness, with presence, and she'll never forget how you made her feel. Because when a man sees a woman fully, deeply, and without judgment, that moment becomes more than sex. It becomes healing. And that's the kind of intimacy she'll crave for the rest of her life. Emotional aftercare is everything. And I wish more men understood that, because what you do after the intimacy matters. It speaks louder than anything that just happened in bed. It tells her whether this was connection or just release. Whether she was treasured or just used. Whether she can trust you with her heart or regret ever letting you touch her body. Too many men think the job is done when the climax hits. They turn over, grab their phone, fall asleep, and she's left lying there, body exposed, heart confused, energy suddenly cold. That's the moment where most women feel the sharpest pain, not during, after, because it's in the aftercare that she realizes who you really are. You see, for women, intimacy doesn't stop at the physical act. It lingers emotionally, spiritually, in our bodies, in our nervous systems. We're wired to bond, to feel safe, to feel close, to feel held. And when that doesn't happen, we don't just feel disappointed, we feel rejected. We start asking questions. Did he mean it? Was I just a moment to him? Why do I suddenly feel alone? But the men who truly get it, they know that aftercare is the real foreplay for her heart. It's in the way you pull her closer instead of pulling away. It's in the way you ask, "Are you okay?" Or whisper something gentle. It's in the way you keep holding her, even when the moment has passed. That's what creates emotional memory. That's what makes a woman feel safe enough to want to be vulnerable with you again. And let me say this clearly, aftercare isn't just physical. It's energetic, it's emotional, it's how you carry her emotions after the experience. Do you go cold? Or do you stay connected? Do you leave her with silence or with assurance? Because a woman will never forget how she felt in your arms after. That's the part she replays in her mind. That's the part that either builds attachment or regret. So if you want to be the kind of man she trusts, if you want to build something that goes beyond lust, you better show up in the aftercare. That's where real emotional connection lies. Not in the climax, but in the quiet, sacred moments that follow. Moments that say, "I'm still here, I still see you, and I still care." When you connect emotionally, the physical becomes unforgettable. I know we live in a world that tells men to master positions, timing tricks. But let me be honest with you, none of that means anything if her heart isn't engaged. Because for a woman, real intimacy doesn't begin in her body. It begins in her emotions, in her trust, in how safe she feels with you, not just in the bedroom, but in her soul. You could be the most skilled lover in the world, but if she feels unseen, untouched on the inside, emotionally neglected, she will never fully open up to you. And you'll notice it too. Her body might respond, but her spirit won't. She'll go through the motions, but she'll be miles away, quiet, distant, numb. And you'll wonder why something felt off, even though everything seemed right. Because women don't crave performance. They crave presence. They crave emotional depth. They crave a man who knows how to hold their heart, not just their waist. A man who listens before he touches, who communicates before he penetrates, who enters her emotionally before he enters her physically. And when that kind of connection is built, oh, it changes everything. Her body stops resisting, her mind stops racing, her heart relaxes. And in that sacred space, she doesn't just give herself to you, she melts. She lets go. She opens up parts of herself that she usually hides. Because now you're not just having sex, you're making her feel seen. And that kind of intimacy, it stays with her. Long after you've left the room, you want to know why some women cry after sex. It's not always because they're sad. Sometimes it's because for the first time they felt safe. Sometimes it's because the connection was so deep, her body didn't know how to contain it. That's how powerful emotional alignment is. So stop chasing harder, faster, more. Start slowing down, start listening, start connecting. Because when the emotional foundation is strong, the physical experience becomes something she'll never forget. Not because you did something wild, but because you did something rare. You made her feel like her body, her emotions, her soul were all welcome, all honored, all safe. And that is the most unforgettable kind of intimacy a man can give. You know what breaks my heart? That so many good men are out here doing the most. Providing, protecting, showing up physically, but still being forgotten. Not because they weren't attractive, not because they didn't perform, but because they never touched her emotionally. Let that sink in. You could sleep next to a woman every night and still make her feel alone because you didn't listen. You didn't see her. You didn't stay present after the intimacy. You thought being a man was about doing when she needed you to simply be. Be still. Be safe. Be emotionally available. Listen to me, if you don't show up emotionally, she will never feel you, no matter how many times you touch her. But when you do, when your energy matches your words, when your silence becomes her safety, when your aftercare becomes her sanctuary, you become the kind of man she compares every other man to for the rest of her life. You want to be unforgettable? Then stop chasing the next big move and start practicing emotional presence, because it's not what you do with her body. It's how you make her heart feel when you leave the room. That's what she'll remember. That's what she'll crave. That's what will make her cry, not from heartbreak, but from healing. Now listen, if this message spoke to something deep in you, don't scroll past it. Like this video to anchor what you just learned. Comment below, tell me what part of this hit you the hardest. Share this with a brother who needs to hear this truth. And if you're ready for more raw, emotional, honest conversations about love, intimacy, masculinity, and becoming the kind of man who actually makes a woman feel safe, then subscribe. Because around here, we're not teaching performance, we're teaching presence. We're not raising boys, we're calling out kings. And the man you're becoming, yeah, she's praying for him. But first, you need to become him. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, she doesn't need a perfect man. She needs a present one. You got this.